Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Chelsea news video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as always, please leave your thoughts in the comments below, guys. And in today's video, we're going to be going through the latest in regard to Carney Chukwuemeka's future, covering Jordan Petrovic's comments about wanting to become Chelsea's #1. And of course, journalists claiming that has Cole Palmer already outgrown Chelsea, even though he's only been here for one season. It wouldn't be Chelsea doing well without someone trying to paint a negative light on the club. But let's dive into things. And let's start with this Cole Palmer business. And because obviously we know full well that Chelsea, the media seem to enjoy it when we're not doing well. They obviously deny that, but I think the evidence is quite clear. It was open season on the club this summer. And now that we're doing well, I'm sure there's a lot of individuals that are absolutely hating it. Nothing negative to write about the football club. They're desperate for their clicks. They're desperate for the downfall. They've had 2 years to enjoy our downfall, and yet they're still looking for clicks, for any sort of way that they can destabilize the club or paint the club in a bad light. And now that they can't talk about performances on the pitch or talk about Enzo Maresca and whatnot, we've had one today going for Cole Palmer. Now, obviously, we know that Cole Palmer is top player. He's not going anywhere. He's on a contract until 2033. Superb start to the season. 6 goals already this season, 4 assists. Incredible meteoric rise since he's joined the football club. And yet today, I've come across this from a certain Nick Miller. And obviously highlighted by Jay here. Certain journalists cannot deal with the fact that Chelsea are on solid form and have some outstanding players. Here we go. Chelsea are much better than most expected, but they're not in the Champions League and they're probably not going to challenge for the Premier League title. No, we're not going to challenge for a title this season. And no, you're correct. We're not in the Champions League. So the question that will be pertinent soon is, if it isn't already, is this: is he too good for Chelsea? No, he's not. He's been here for one season. Palmer has an absurdly long contract, which he signed and which he agreed to and which he was happy to sign to. No one forced him to sign it, by the way. So it would take quite an offer for someone to buy him, obviously. But if Chelsea don't make the top 4 this season, there will be a few clubs queuing up to ask them how much. Now, there's a lot of presumption here in this piece. And it's quite frankly, it's just for clicks and it's just garbage journalism, if I'm being totally honest. It's just utter nonsense. Once again, utter rubbish. Yes, we need to get in the Champions League. Everyone at the club is aware that we need to get in the Champions League. And everyone is aware that, of course, if 2 years becomes 3, becomes 4, becomes 5, and we're not in the Champions League, then yes, of course, some players might start to think, well, hang on a second, this is not what I signed up for. But to raise the question when Palmer has just begun his 2nd season at the football club, right? To say that, oh, is he too good for Chelsea? What sort of nonsense is that? What do you mean he's too good for Chelsea? You're speaking like we're some sort of mid-table team. Now, yes, we've struggled over the last 2 years, but we're on the way back up. We're working to get into the Champions League. We're working to win trophies, challenge for the title again. And to suggest that Palmer is too good for Chelsea is just nonsense. Secondly, utter rubbish to suggest that clubs are going to be queuing up to ask the question how much. They know that he's untouchable at Chelsea. No one is going to be signing Cole Palmer, and it's just mad, isn't it? That just we're doing well on the pitch. Let's now target Chelsea and say, oh, hang on a moment. Well, maybe their top players aren't going to want to be here if they don't make the top 4. This is a very presumptive piece here. And look, if we don't make the top 4 this season, that obviously won't be great, but that's going to have no impact on Cole Palmer's future. So why people are trying to drum up, some sort of negativity surrounding Chelsea when the club are in a good moment, to me, is just madness. It's just utter madness. But it speaks of the landscape at the moment. It speaks of how, there are certain individuals that don't like the club, that can't stand the club doing well, and maybe this guy is one of them. We're doing well. It's okay to give praise to Chelsea. You don't have to find something negative. You don't have to single out, oh, maybe now Palmer's playing really well, or maybe he's too big for Chelsea. Literally a season after he's arrived at the football club, maybe he's outgrown the club already. It's just nonsense. I'm fed up with it. There's going to be more nonsense coming over the international break. These guys have got their articles saved, ready to drop some sort of negative nonsense about Chelsea over the international break because things are going well on the pitch and they can't write anything negative about that. So they're going to try and find their negativity in other ways. But just thought I'd highlight that and the ridiculousness of it and the utter nonsense that people are paid to write that sort of rubbish. But there we go, guys. There we go. Moving away from that, then let's move on to the future of Carney Chukwuemeka. Then there's been an update from Fabrizio in regards to the situation surrounding him. And he's saying Chelsea will look for a solution for Chukwuemeka in January as the player wants to play and Chelsea don't want him out the squad for too long. Work is already in progress. And look, I think this is the logical solution. We couldn't find a solution in the summer. Whether there was one there or not, we don't know. Whether Chukwuemeka turned it down or not, we're unsure. But he needs to be playing. He's 20 years of age. There is no point him just sitting at Chelsea, turning up to training. The guy didn't even start against Barrow. Cassidy was preferred instead of him. He's not going to play in the Conference League, really. He might get a few minutes Thursday night. We don't really know. And yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? Where, unfortunately, despite his talent, he's not been able to keep himself fit. And the reality of the situation is that despite him being good and a good player, there are, in his position, there are just players, and a number of them, that are just better than him. That's just the reality of the situation. This is no slight on Chukwuemeka. It's not that he's not good enough. It's just the other players are better than him. And Maresca clearly doesn't fancy him, despite saying, he likes Carney, he's a great guy and whatnot, quality player, blah, 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 all this stuff. He obviously doesn't like him that much because he never picks him. And there's obviously a reason he doesn't pick him, is because he thinks the other options available to him are better. Now, it's a shame that, the Chukwuemeka signing clearly hasn't worked out. But that's the way that this is going to go with the amount of recruitment that we're doing, with the high volume in and high volume out. Some players are going to work out and others aren't. And unfortunately, Carney has fallen in the pile of, it probably hasn't worked out. Now, whether a solution would be a loan in January or a permanent sale remains to be seen. I would probably edge more on the side of it. Probably be some sort of loan with an option to buy, or loan with an obligation potentially, so there's some sort of permanency to the deal. Because to me, it seems clear that, I was going to say Chelsea have given up, but I think it's clear that Carney is not part of the long-term plans at the club. And he's just simply not going to force his way in. And at his age, and for a player of his talent, he needs to be going and playing regular football. Maresca said it himself after the game against Brighton, that he'd love to give Carney more minutes and whatnot. But he said it before, that he thinks the best idea for him is to go away and play 30, 35 games somewhere else, because he's not going to get those minutes at Chelsea. It's honest, it's fair, and it's just the way it goes. I'm disappointed, because I'm a big fan of Carney. I think he's got a lot to offer, but the reality is, he can't keep himself fit, and there are other players that are better than him, and it's a complete waste of a year, pretty much, if he's just going to be getting poverty minutes in the early rounds of the Cup against lower league opposition, or a few minutes here and there in the Conference League. That's not going to help him develop. That's not doing anyone any favors. That's driving his value down, because he's not playing much, and it's not allowing him to develop. So there's no winners from this current situation with Chukwuemeka at Chelsea. The player's not winning because he's not playing, he's not developing. Chelsea aren't winning because, if he's not playing very often, they're not going to get much of a price for him. Yes, there's that £40 million release clause in his contract. I don't see anyone activating that at this point in time. And it's just the way it goes. It's a shame it's not worked out. But I think, a January exit needs to happen, whether it's permanent or whether it's on loan. But that is the latest on Carney Chukwuemeka. And then to round out people, just quick thoughts on some comments from Jordan Petrovic after Strasbourg's impressive 1-0 win over Roberto De Zerbi's Marseille on Sunday night. Petrovic saying that that's a goal to become regular number one at Chelsea. It's one of the best teams in the world, and I hope that will happen. Now, obviously, I would like to see that happen as well. I think he's a very talented goalkeeper. He showed it last season when he came into the side when Robert Sanchez was injured. So I don't think this is as far-fetched as what some people might think. I was convinced in the summer that he was finished at Chelsea, that he was going to be sold on a permanent basis. But I think, to be honest, the fact that he's been sent to Strasbourg, they've got Liam Rossignol there as manager, who's doing very well. They're employing a similar brand of football to what Enzo Maresca would play. To me, this shows that Chelsea haven't given up on Petrovic. They've sent him away from a year to learn, to learn the style of play, to get better with the ball at his feet and whatnot. And I think with a view to coming back to challenge for that number one shirt at Chelsea. And I said it at the time. The only reason that Robert Sanchez is still at Chelsea right now is because no one wanted to buy him. If there were offers for Robert Sanchez, Chelsea would have accepted those this summer. That is a fact. And anyone that disagrees with that is just in denial, unfortunately. That is the truth. There was no offers for Robert Sanchez this summer, and Chelsea would have sold him if if there were. The reason why Petrovic has left is because he's done well and there was interest in him. And it's interesting that they chose to send him to Strasbourg, which shows that they do still believe in him. They want him to learn his learn the craft and whatnot, become better with the ball at his feet. What Enzo Maresca is looking for, and I think there's a genuine chance that next season he'll be challenging for that number 1 shirt, and hopefully by Sanchez playing in the team, maybe it will attract a few suitors and maybe increase his value slightly. But I do not see Robert Sanchez being here long term. I do see Petrovic being part of the plans moving forward. I do think he's got a future at the football club. I do think he's good enough. And I think this season in Strasbourg is going to do him the world of good and make a big, big difference to his game. And I think it's going to really help him develop. And I think he'll come back to Chelsea next summer feeling confident. It's great to have those goals. It shows his ambition, his mentality, mindset's in the right place. Perform well here. You may well get an opportunity at Chelsea. And I don't think anyone can deny that he wouldn't deserve that opportunity to be number 1. I mean, look, Jorgensen's clearly been bought in for a reason as well. He's only 22. He's young. I mean, Petrovic, I think, is only 24, 25. So young goalkeepers, but he's probably a bit more experienced than Jorgensen is. But I think ultimately those two are probably the future of Chelsea's goalkeeping, and Robert Sanchez absolutely isn't. So for me, this might be a bit of a bold call, but I think Petrovic will be Chelsea's number 1 next season. I think Sanchez will be gone next summer, and it will be between Petrovic and Jorgensen for that number 1 shirt. And I hope that is very much the case. But yeah, guys, that rounds out today's Chelsea news video. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe, as I said, run up the comments as well. And I'll catch you guys again in another one soon. Up the Chelsea, and peace out.